12 of the strangest archaeological discoveries in the world that even top scientists can't explain. Welcome back to the Ancient History Channel. Today we are about to embark on a journey through time, a journey where ancient ruins, strange artifacts, and unsolved mysteries are waiting to be revealed. Dear friends, have you ever wondered, on the very land where you are standing, could there have been something that existed thousands of years ago, only to be buried beneath the dust of time? Throughout human history, archaeology has opened magical doors that lead us into the past. Yet, not every discovery can be explained by science or ordinary logic. Some objects seem to come from an entirely different civilization, far beyond the imagination of modern humans. From stones engraved with strange characters that belong to no known language, to enormous skeletons, to mummies that were not properly embalmed yet remain perfectly preserved for hundreds of thousands of years, these findings leave scientists scratching their heads, unable to explain them. So, who created them? And why do they appear in places no one would expect? In today's video, we will explore 12 of the world's strangest archaeological discoveries. Mysteries so baffling that even top scientists are left speechless at their sheer absurdity. Get ready, because the more you watch, the more you will realize. The world still holds countless things that humanity has yet to fully understand. Now, let's begin with our very first discovery. The Black Bog Mummy with a Chilling Face. On May 12, 1897, at a small peat bog called Stuyveen, near the village of Ede in the Netherlands, a group of workers was diligently dredging peat when they suddenly stumbled upon something soft and heavy. Curious, they dug deeper, and what they saw left them frozen in shock. Amid the thick black mud lay a deformed human body, pitch black, with a contorted face and a body seemingly wrapped in terror itself. The two men who discovered it first were so frightened that they threw down their tools and ran without looking back. When the entire village came to see, fear spread like wildfire. No one dared touch the body. In the end, they had no choice but to cover it back with the very peat they had just dug up, as if nothing had ever happened. However, rumors about the black body in the bog quickly spread across the region, and soon, archaeological experts were invited to investigate. Initially, everyone thought it was the body of a recently deceased person, as the skin and flesh were remarkably well preserved. But the forensic results stunned everyone. It was not a recent death. It was a 2,000-year-old mummy, and notably, it was the body of a young girl. She was named the Eyed Girl, and from that moment, she became one of the greatest mysteries in European archaeology. What made the discovery even more horrifying was the manner of her death. A rope was tightly knotted around her neck, clearly indicating strangulation. Near her collarbone was a stab wound, and her hands, feet, and part of her pelvis had been severed. Her face was distorted, her skin shrunken, causing anyone who saw it to shudder. No one knows what she endured in her final moments, but it was clearly not a peaceful death. Because her body was buried in tannin-rich peat, it had undergone a form of natural mummification. Her skin, hair, and some internal organs remained intact after thousands of years. It wasn't until 1992, nearly a century after the discovery, that the mystery of the Eyed Girl began to be unraveled. Professor Richard Neve from the University of Manchester conducted a CT scan of her skull and determined that she had died between 54 BCE and 128 CE at the age of just 16. She was about 4 feet 3 inches tall, and notably, her spine was severely curved and her right foot was abnormally swollen. These deformities led many experts to believe she had been chosen as a sacrificial victim, part of a brutal ancient ritual meant to offer a soul to the gods. By 1994, using modern facial reconstruction techniques, scientists recreated the true appearance of the Eyed Girl. The result astonished the world. From a terrifying, pitch-black mummy emerged the face of a beautiful, gentle young girl, her features possessing a soft beauty comparable to modern standards. Since then, the Eyed Bog Girl has become an iconic figure in archaeology, both intriguing and evoking sorrow for the fate of a teenage girl buried in the mysterious rituals of the past. Today, her mummy is on display at the Drents Museum in Assen, Netherlands. If you ever visit, you can see the Eyed Girl in person, a silent witness of history who has survived 2,000 years to tell her tragic story. And perhaps, looking at her face, you will ask yourself the same question as many others have. What did she do, or who caused her to suffer such a terrifying death? The mysterious winged mummy that baffles both science and UFO researchers. If you've ever thought that winged creatures only exist in Andersen's fairy tales, you might have to rethink that after seeing the mummy I'm about to tell you about. This tiny creature, measuring only about 12 inches long, has left the scientific community stunned because of what it carries on its body. A pair of delicate, crystal-like wings and a face with distinctly reptilian features. Anyone who witnesses it can't help but wonder, is this a product of nature, or is it a mystery from another world? This extraordinary mummy has been preserved in a formaldehyde solution, so despite the passage of time, its body remains intact, from its limbs to the ultra-thin wings, which are so translucent that you can see right through them. At first glance, you might feel as though you are seeing a tiny fairy step out of a storybook, but this fairy carries a mystery that has never been explained. The story begins when two prominent UFO researchers, Richard Shaw and L.A. Marzulli, heard about this strange mummy discovered in Mexico. Without hesitation, they traveled to see it firsthand, curious about what many were speculating to be evidence of an extraterrestrial being. There, they met Jamie Maussan, a veteran journalist and host of the popular TV channel Tercer Milenio, specializing in UFOs and supernatural phenomena. He was the one who revealed this tiny creature to the world. According to Maussan, the mummy was accidentally discovered by a 13-year-old boy at the top of a mountain. The boy brought it home and handed it over to Maussan. Maussan remarked that a child could not possibly have created such a sophisticated specimen. If this were fake, the person who made it would have to be a genius. To verify its authenticity, the research team conducted X-rays and DNA analysis. The results only deepened the mystery. Under the X-ray, the internal bone structure was clearly visible, showing that this was not just an artificial model. The joints and wings were naturally connected, just like a living creature. Biologist Forster, who examined the specimen directly, admitted, "This is a strange species, almost impossible to fake." Yet the most puzzling aspect is that, to this day, no one can determine its exact origin. Could it be a hybrid created by humans? Or is it a being from another world? A place where winged creatures truly exist? Maussan himself firmly believes this is one of the strongest pieces of evidence for the possible existence of extraterrestrial life. He suggests it could be the result of a secret experiment or a previously unrecorded species in biological history. But as you can see, despite the advances of modern science, when faced with this tiny creature, all hypotheses remain speculative. What do you think? Is it an elaborate hoax, a failed experiment, or truly a fairy from a distant planet? As for me, the answer still drifts somewhere along the fragile line between science and the mystical, and perhaps only time will reveal the truth. Bodies that were never mummified but remained intact for centuries. When it comes to things that leave archaeologists stunned, one story we cannot ignore is that of bodies that were never embalmed yet remained perfectly preserved for hundreds of years. At first, it may sound like a tall tale, but this phenomenon is clearly documented in history, and to this day, it remains a mystery no one has fully explained. It all began in 1647, when in a tomb inside St. Andrew's Church in the small town of Venzone, in the Udine region of Italy, people accidentally discovered the body of a man preserved almost perfectly. There was no foul odor, no signs of decay, and the skin had simply turned to yellow-brown, like tanned leather. What was astonishing was that upon examination and analysis, experts confirmed that this body had never been embalmed by any chemical or manual method. The mystery only deepened when other nearby tombs gradually revealed dozens more bodies in the same state. By the 20th century, a total of 42 natural mummies had been found on the church grounds. However, a devastating earthquake in 1976 destroyed much of the area, leaving only 15 bodies preserved to this day. Here's something even more remarkable. All of these bodies share a striking similarity. They are extremely light, weighing only 22 to 44 pounds, and their skin is dry, smooth, and taut, almost as if it had been treated by a master leatherworker. Some internal organs even retain their shape, although slightly altered over time. This raises the question, what allowed these bodies to defy natural decay for so long? Many theories have been proposed by scientists, but the most prominent explanation is natural mummification. According to this theory, The environment inside the Venzone tombs inadvertently created ideal conditions for dehydrating the bodies. Researchers believe the key factor is a particular parasitic fungus called Hypha tombicidia. This fungus thrives in the damp conditions of the tomb, infiltrates wooden coffins, and absorbs moisture from the bodies. As the humidity is rapidly removed, tissues and organs dry out, preventing decomposition. But that's not the whole story. Some researchers suggest that the limestone soil surrounding the tombs plays the role of a silent hero. Limestone is highly absorbent, creating a naturally dry environment that inhibits the growth of bacteria and mold. The combination of the parasitic fungus and the limestone soil inadvertently turned the ancient tombs of Venzone into natural preservation chambers, where time itself seems to stand still. Yet despite these theories, the true secret behind this extraordinary preservation remains unproven. All experiments and simulations remain hypothetical. Natural factors, humidity, temperature, and soil minerals, are too complex to replicate accurately in a lab. To this day, the bodies of Venzone that refuse to decay remain one of the most perplexing phenomena for archaeologists. They not only open a door to a better understanding of natural mummification, but also provoke a deeper reflection. Are there laws of nature that we are still not capable of fully comprehending? Perhaps hidden within each layer of limestone, each speck of dust in Venzone, lies the answer to a mystery that has slept for centuries. Until science provides a definitive answer, these bodies will continue to astonish the world and sometimes make us shiver at the miraculous power of nature. Nuclear family remains in a 4,000-year-old grave. In the heart of ancient Europe, beneath the soil of Uhlau in Saxony-Anhalt, Germany, archaeologists uncovered a discovery that stunned the world: the grave of the oldest nuclear family ever known to humankind, dating back more than 4,000 years. Inside the grave lay 4 sets of human remains side by side: a father, a mother, and 2 young sons, all facing each other. It seemed that, despite the passage of time, the bond between them remained intact as it had in life. The image of a father, a mother, and their 2 children lying together for millennia leaves anyone who sees it speechless. Experts believe that their relatives or friends had intentionally placed all 4 together after death, as a way to allow them to remain together in the afterlife. This was not merely a burial ritual. It was evidence of familial love and the concept of family that existed even in prehistoric times. Scientists confirmed through DNA analysis that the 4 individuals were indeed members of the same family. The father was estimated to be around 40 to 60 years old, the mother between 35 and 50, and the 2 boys just 4 and 8 years old. The 2 sons were laid between their parents, facing each other as if embracing their final sleep in the loving arms of their family. According to Dr. Alistair Pike, head of the archaeology department at the University of Bristol, this is an extraordinary and unprecedented discovery in human history. He said, "This is the first time we can prove that members of a family were truly buried together. Whoever arranged the burial clearly knew this was a family, and they understood the profound significance of placing the 4 of them face to face." His words are deeply moving. In early European civilization, when humans still struggled against harsh nature and relentless warfare, family was the most sacred value, and people already knew how to express that love through deeply emotional burial rituals. But there is more. Around their grave, archaeologists discovered many other graves, believed to belong to neighbors or members of the same tribe. The bodies were found face to face, with arms intertwined, and most graves contained at least 1 child, ranging from newborns to around 10 years old. This suggests that the area was once a small settlement, a tightly knit community. However, behind this peaceful scene lies a tragic story. Many skeletons bore fractures, cut marks, and even embedded stone-tipped arrows, indicating that they may have been victims of a violent attack, likely by a hostile tribe. Their deaths were not just the end of 4 lives, but a silent testimony to the brutal survival struggles of early humans. This discovery sheds new light on prehistoric life in Europe and demonstrates that the concept of family, of kinship, existed long before the construction of Stonehenge in England. Although this grave, discovered in 2005, lay undisturbed for millennia, it still evokes deep emotion today. Among the fossilized bones, one can still sense an enduring bond: parental love, family unity, and the desire to remain together even beyond death. Perhaps that is what makes this discovery not only archaeologically significant, but also emotionally resonant for anyone who has ever loved a home. A testament that family love is a timeless human legacy. 600 war horses in the tomb of a Chinese king. If I told you that beneath the fields of an ancient village in Shandong Province, China, lay the resting place of hundreds of war horses, would you believe it? Hard to imagine, right? I thought the same at first. Yet, after digging into the facts, I learned that in 1964, the entire Chinese archaeological community was stunned by a discovery that shook the world. A tomb containing more than 600 horse skeletons, along with countless precious artifacts. And the tomb's occupant was none other than Duke Jing of Qi, the powerful ruler of the state of Qi during China's spring and autumn period. The story begins over 2,500 years ago. Duke Jing of Qi, born Chu Ju, the younger son of Duke Ling of Qi, was not expected to inherit the throne. But history took a turn. After his older brother, Duke Zhang of Qi, was murdered by the powerful minister Kui Ju, Chu Ju ascended the throne and took the title Duke Jing of Qi. Though initially seen as a puppet in the hands of ministers, through intelligence and determination, he gradually regained authority and led Qi into an era of unprecedented prosperity. Legend has it that Duke Jing was so passionate about horses that he could recognize every single one in the stables, recall each saddle and bridle, and remember the powerful stride of every war horse. To him, horses were more than instruments of battle. They symbolized power and loyalty. Thus, when he died in 490 BCE, people performed an act that today sends chills down the spine. They sacrificed hundreds of live horses to be buried with the king, serving him in the afterlife. When archaeologists began excavating the tomb in Naitu village, northeast of Linzi, modern Shandong Province, China, they could hardly believe their eyes. Before them lay a burial pit 706 feet long, containing the remains of 145 horses neatly lined up in rows. Each skeleton was positioned as if ready to charge into battle. Some were even placed in front of chariots, recreating the majesty of the battlefield. But that was just the beginning. In the following years, another 106 horse skeletons were discovered, and by 2003, the total had exceeded 600 horse remains, along with 30 dogs, 2 pigs, and 6 other animals. All were carefully buried according to the royal rites of ancient China. Experts concluded that none of the horses died of natural causes. Analysis of the bones shows that they were struck or stabbed and then meticulously arranged, a ritual known as horse sacrifice, reserved for kings and high nobility in ancient times. These horses had all been elite war horses during their lives, strong, fast, and battle-tested alongside Duke Jing. Perhaps ancient people believed the king's spirit would need these war horses to command in the afterlife. Or perhaps it was a final expression of loyalty from a people honoring a ruler who had brought peace and prosperity to the land. Today, standing before this vast ancient tomb, many visitors still shudder. 600 horse skeletons, 600 lives that once thundered across the battlefield now lie silently underground, as if guarding the eternal rest of the Duke of Qi. So, what do you think? Was this a brutal ritual, or a symbol of loyalty and authority in a distant age? Share your thoughts in the comments. Who knows, you might see this remarkable story from over 2 millennia ago in a whole new light. The 4,000-year-old skeleton of a beauty buried beneath Scotland. Have you ever imagined that beneath an ordinary quarry could lie a secret that has slept for over 4,000 years? In 1997, when workers were busy extracting stone at Upper Largie Quarry in Scotland, they could hardly have imagined that their shovels were about to touch a magnificent fragment of human history. Beneath the cold soil, the skeleton of a Copper Age woman was discovered, and from that moment on, the history of this place seemed to open an entirely new chapter. Archaeologists later affectionately named her Upper Largie Woman, after the very site where she was found. She was buried in a stone-lined grave in a crouched position, a posture very rarely seen in ancient burial rituals. For her community at the time, this was likely not a random position. It probably carried a spiritual significance, a ceremonial meaning, or even a sacred farewell to the deceased. Initial analyses suggested that Upper Largie Woman died very young, in her early 20s. Traces on her bones and teeth indicate that she suffered from illness or malnutrition, revealing that life during the Copper Age was far from easy. What surprised scientists even more was the dating. Carbon isotope analysis revealed that she lived around 2200 to 1500 BCE, placing her in the early Copper Age, one of the most important transitional periods in human history. To understand her origins, researchers analyzed strontium and oxygen isotopes in her bones. The results showed that she was not a migrant from a distant region, but was born and raised in what is now Scotland. This confirms that she was a member of the local community, living during a time of significant social change, when humans were beginning to work with metals, cultivate crops, and develop early cultural rituals. What makes this discovery even more remarkable were the artifacts found alongside her. Fragments of beaker pottery, a sign of the widespread and vibrant beaker culture across Europe. This culture brought unique crafting techniques, distinct daily practices, and symbolic burial rituals. These pottery fragments help us connect to the story she carried, a story of belief, of life, and of death over 4,000 years ago. To bring history to life, scientists turned to Oskar Nilsson, a renowned Swedish forensic artist. Using the structure of her skull, Nilsson reconstructed the face of Upper Largi woman, a face with slightly wide-set eyes, a broad, slightly upturned nose, and a gentle, wide smile. Looking at this reconstruction, it feels as if she still lives somewhere out there, in the windy lands of Scotland, carrying the breath of a civilization long gone. The discovery of Upper Largi woman not only helps us understand the life, health, and customs of Copper Age humans, but also offers a deeper perspective. That thousands of years ago, humans loved, suffered, and struggled to survive, much like we do today. Fascinating, isn't it? A 2,300-year-old tomb reveals the mysterious life of a Greek courtesan in the heart of Jerusalem. In the dusty land of Jerusalem, a place that has witnessed countless battles and historical upheavals, archaeologists recently uncovered a tomb that astonished the research community. Inside this tomb were the cremated remains of a woman, along with a series of unusual artifacts, bent iron nails, and a rare bronze box mirror, shining as if it had been polished just yesterday. Though few in number, these artifacts hint at a fascinating story. A story of a high-class Greek courtesan who lived during the era of Alexander the Great. According to Dr. Guy Stiebel, an archaeologist at Tel Aviv University, the tomb dates back to the 3rd or 4th century BCE, during the Hellenistic period when Greek culture spread across the Near East. He noted that this could be the earliest evidence of cremation in Israel, a practice traditionally associated with the Greeks. What puzzled experts, however, was why the remains of a Greek woman were buried along a roadside leading into Jerusalem, far from any ancient settlements. To answer this mystery, researchers analyzed the grave goods found beside her. Most striking was the bronze box mirror, a luxurious item typically reserved for the Greek elite. According to Liat Oz from the Israel Antiquities Authority, the craftsmanship of the mirror was so refined that it remained almost flawless and retained its shine for over 2,000 years. Mirrors of this type were often part of a dowry in lavish weddings, intended for noble Greek women. Yet ancient Greek women rarely left their homeland, and they almost never traveled to distant lands like Jerusalem, except in one special case, the hetaira, high-class courtesans of ancient Greece. Hetairae were renowned not only for their beauty, but also for their intelligence, knowledge of the arts, music, and even philosophy. They were companions to generals, officials, and sometimes enjoyed the trust and affection of the most powerful figures in Greece. For a hetaira, a mirror was more than a cosmetic tool. It symbolized status and the unique relationships they held with the elite. For this reason, archaeologists believe that this tomb belonged to a hetaira, one who likely accompanied a Greek general to Jerusalem during the time of Alexander the Great or during the Diadochi Wars, the chaotic period following his death when generals fought for succession. It is possible that the woman died on this foreign journey and was cremated according to Greek rites, a ceremonial farewell reflecting her exceptional status in society at the time. Beneath the layers of rock and soil, her ashes still rest beside the gleaming bronze mirror, a silent witness to a long-gone era. Perhaps in her final moments, she gazed into that mirror, not to fix her appearance, but to see her own destiny reflected in the course of human history. A Greek woman, in the Holy Land of Jerusalem, seemingly so distant, yet a subtle thread linking two powerful civilizations. This discovery not only reveals the remains of a person who lived two skeletons, embracing forever for 6,000 years. In the silent darkness of Alepotripa Cave, a prehistoric cavern in the Peloponnese region of Greece, archaeologists discovered a scene that left the world breathless. Two skeletons lying side by side, locked in a tight embrace, as if they had never wanted to be apart. What makes this discovery even more haunting is their age. Nearly 6,000 years old, dating back to the Neolithic period, when the first human civilizations were just beginning to emerge. Research shows that these remains belong to a young male-female couple, both aged roughly 20 to 25 at the time of death. Their bones were remarkably well preserved and strong, suggesting they may have died suddenly, without any evidence of disease or injury. It was precisely the tender, natural, yet eerily intimate embrace that led experts to believe they died together, likely during the same tragic event. Georgos Papathanassopoulos, one of the archaeologists directly involved in the excavation, said, "I have witnessed many digs, but this is an exceptionally rare case. One could say this is the most beautiful ancient couple ever discovered in Greece." His words reflect not only astonishment, but also a profound emotional connection to this vivid testament of love that transcends time. Alepotripa Cave itself is steeped in mystery. Discovered in 1958, it was once a place of habitation and burial for ancient Greeks. Analysis suggests the site was in use from approximately 3,200 to 6,000 years ago and was eventually buried by a massive earthquake. Hundreds of people were trapped, transforming the cave into a natural mass grave, while simultaneously preserving priceless traces of prehistoric culture. Beyond the embracing couple, archaeologists found countless artifacts, including pottery, silver and bronze tools, and intricately crafted objects reflecting the skill and lifestyle of Neolithic humans. These findings help recreate a picture of daily life during the Neolithic in Greece, a life where people not only struggled to survive, but also loved, bonded, and sacrificed for one another. The exact cause of death for the couple remains a mystery. Some suggest they perished in a catastrophic event, perhaps the fateful earthquake that buried the cave. Others propose a more romantic theory, that these two lovers chose to lie down together, ensuring their love would never be separated, even in death. Whatever the cause, the image of two people embracing in the darkness for 6,000 years leaves anyone who sees it utterly speechless. Imagine it, a love that has survived millennia, through layers of earth, through the ravages of time, yet remains as intact as the day it began. Is it mere coincidence, or evidence of a bond so profound that not even death could tear them apart? If you have another interpretation, share it. Perhaps the story behind these two skeletons carries a meaning beyond what science can explain, and you might be the one to uncover it. 300-year-old mummies of a mother and child found beneath a church crypt reveal a heartbreaking truth. Did you know that in 1994, during renovation work at the historic Dominican church in the town of Vac, Pest County, Hungary, workers stumbled upon a hidden crypt beneath the church floor? As they lifted the heavy stones and shone their lights into the darkness, the entire team was stunned. Beneath them lay hundreds of coffins, packed closely together, containing over 250 remarkably preserved bodies, some dating back 300 years. What's even more astonishing is that, despite resting underground for 3 centuries, these bodies were preserved almost perfectly. The skin, hair, and even the folds of their clothing remained intact. Archaeologists were soon called to the site to conduct research, and among the hundreds of mummies, 2 in particular captured their attention. A 38-year-old mother named Veronika Skripets and her 1-year-old son, Johannes Orlovitz. The two were found lying side by side, as if the mother were still reaching out to protect her child in eternal sleep. The sight left researchers speechless, not only because of the perfect preservation, but also because of the heartbreaking story hidden beneath the surface. For many years, the identities of the mother and child remained a mystery, until scientists decided to bring them to the United States for in-depth study. In April 2016, at the Global Medical Center in Orange County, California, a team of experts conducted modern autopsies using CT scanning technology. Ildiko Sikosi, a Hungarian anthropologist, explained that the examination aimed not only to determine the cause of death, but also to provide insights into the harsh living conditions of 18th-century Europeans, a time when medicine was rudimentary, antibiotics did not exist, vaccines were unavailable, and disease was a constant threat. CT images revealed multiple characteristic scars of tuberculosis in Veronika's lungs, a deadly infectious disease that once terrorized Europe. She passed away in 1808, likely after a prolonged and desperate struggle. Her son Johannes, the youngest child she had devoted herself to raising, was determined to have been healthy and well-nourished before dying suddenly, most likely from dysentery, an acute bacterial illness that claimed the lives of thousands of children. Tragically, Veronica had 3 children, none of whom survived past the age of 2. These findings serve as a sobering reminder of a time when death lurked in every breath, and maternal love was the only shield against fear and despair. Experts believe the exceptional preservation of the mummies in this crypt over more than 300 years is due to a unique natural environment. Dry, cool, and with stable ventilation, these conditions allowed the bodies to mummify naturally, preserving soft tissues, skin, and even facial features. When the coffins were opened, Veronica's facial contours were still visible, and her hair lightly draped over her shoulders, giving the eerie impression that she was merely asleep after a long, tiring day. In 2016, the mummies of the mother and child were displayed at the World of Mummies exhibition at the Bowers Museum, attracting thousands of visitors. People came not only to witness bodies preserved by time, but also to experience a deeply human story, a story of undying maternal love, the fragility of life, and the struggle for survival in the past. Unfortunately, in subsequent years, these mummies were lost, and their current whereabouts remain unknown. Yet one thing is certain: the story of Veronica and Johannes will be remembered. For even in the cold darkness of that centuries-old crypt, a mother's love for her child continues to shine, a timeless testament to the enduring power of human compassion throughout history. 1,500-year-old mummy travels through time wearing Adidas sneakers. In April 2016, an archaeological discovery shocked not only the scientific community, but also social media audiences worldwide. Archaeologists in Mongolia released photos of a 1,500-year-old mummy discovered in the remote and rugged Altai Mountains. What made these images go viral, however, was an unusual detail. The mummy appeared to be wearing shoes that looked strikingly similar to modern Adidas sneakers, particularly the iconic Gazelle model. The photos quickly sparked a frenzy on social media. One Facebook user humorously commented, "Those must be the legendary Adidas Gazelles. I own a few pairs myself, but I've never worn them for 1,500 years." Meanwhile, Twitter buzzed with posts like "time-traveling mummy" and "definitely a time traveler rocking stylish sneakers," creating an unprecedented online sensation. People were fascinated and puzzled, wondering how a modern sneaker design could exist 1,500 years ago. Soon after, archaeologists clarified that it was merely a coincidence in design. The mummy was discovered at an altitude of over 9,200 feet in a 10-foot deep grave, believed to belong to someone from the Turkic culture. It is considered the most complete Turkic burial ever found in Central Asia. Experts suggested the mummy might be female, as no bows, commonly found in male graves, were present. Alongside the body, archaeologists uncovered a remarkable array of burial items, including harnesses, a saddle, ceramic vessels, wooden bowls, iron pots, pillows, leather bags, and even the fully preserved remains of a horse. The clothing in the grave was made not only of cotton and wool, but also camel hair, demonstrating the Turkic people's advanced craftsmanship and deep knowledge of natural resources. Scientists at the Kovdi Museum, where the mummy is currently preserved, explained that studying the body and burial artifacts provides critical insights into the daily life of the Turkic people in Central Asia over 1,000 years ago. Beyond illuminating an ancient culture, this discovery has sparked curiosity about strange coincidences in history. Could the shoes resembling Adidas have been an unusual prediction from the past? Or are they simply a remarkable coincidence in design? The question remains unanswered. Regardless, the find has offered fascinating glimpses into the life, culture, and craftsmanship of the Turkic people of the past. Nine beast-like skulls surround a noble mummy in an ancient Egyptian tomb. Along the legendary lands on the west bank of the Nile, once home to the glorious dynasties of ancient Egypt, a recent archaeological discovery has left the scientific community stunned. While excavating the Theban necropolis, a team from the University of Warsaw, led by Dr. Patrick Chudzik, stumbled upon something unprecedented in Egyptian history. 9 crocodile skulls buried in the tomb of a high-ranking noble. Previously, crocodiles were typically mummified intact and placed in separate tombs as sacred animals. This time, however, only the skulls were carefully wrapped in linen and interred directly beside the human mummy, a strange ritual completely unlike any previously known form of burial. Experts are left questioning whether this was a mysterious religious rite or a sacred message left by the ancients for the afterlife. The discovery site, El Asesif, served as the burial ground for officials and nobles during the New Kingdom period, roughly from the 16th to the 11th century BCE. It was also the resting place for those who served mighty pharaohs. Deep within these tombs, the presence of 9 crocodile skulls opens an entirely new chapter in the study of ancient Egyptian spirituality. The Nile crocodile, symbolizing power and ferocity, was revered by the Egyptians as the embodiment of the god Sobek, who had the head of a crocodile and the body of a human. Sobek was believed to protect souls from dark forces and grant fortune in the afterlife. Archaeologists therefore suggest that placing the crocodile skulls in a noble's tomb was not merely a form of offering, but a plea for Sobek's protection on the journey to the next world. Dr. Chudzik remarked, "This is the first discovery of its kind in the entire history of Egyptology. We've seen many crocodile mummies buried along the Nile, but only taking the skulls and placing them with the deceased, that has never happened before. This uniqueness makes the find all the more mysterious and captivating, reflecting a rare ritual likely reserved for the elite of society." The excavation also revealed tombs of high-ranking officials, including one notable figure from the reign of Pharaoh Nebuchadnezzar Mentuhotep II, known for unifying Egypt after a period of turmoil. These discoveries provide scholars with new insights into how ancient Egyptians organized society, honored the nobility, and expressed their beliefs in the divine. What excites archaeologists most, however, is the arrangement of the 9 crocodile skulls around the mummy, as if they are guarding their master. The sight is both sacred and awe-inspiring, sending chills down the spine of anyone who witnesses it. Perhaps what makes this discovery most memorable is not just its archaeological value, but the story of faith itself, the connection between humans and the divine. Buried within the dry sands of the Egyptian desert, these secrets await full revelation. Who knows? One day we may uncover even stranger burial rituals that will make the world exclaim, "The ancient Egyptians, they truly understood life and death better than anyone else." 3,000-year-old mummy found beneath a landfill in Peru. Recently, at a landfill in Lima, the capital of Peru, archaeologists uncovered a mummy estimated to be around 3,000 years old. The excavation was later carried out by students from San Marcos University, who were the first to discover the mummy's hair and skull. Before beginning the search, the archaeologists had to remove roughly 17,600 pounds of trash from the area, a laborious task that proved worthwhile when they unearthed valuable artifacts beneath the surface. The mummy is believed to belong to the Manche culture, a community that inhabited the area around present-day Lima from approximately 1500 to 1000 BCE. The Manche culture was notable for its unique architectural structures, especially U-shaped temples aligned with the sunrise. Archaeologist Miguel Aguilar explained that the mummy was found inside a tomb at the center of a U-shaped temple. This suggests that the individual may have been part of a religious ritual, possibly someone left behind or sacrificed during the final phase of temple construction. The burial practices of the Manche were also distinctive. The body was laid flat, consistent with customs of the formative period of the Manche culture, around 3,000 years ago. The mummy was wrapped in fabric made from cotton and plant fibers, a common mummification method among many ancient Peruvian cultures. Before the arrival of Spanish conquerors, mummification was practiced by multiple civilizations across Peru. Each culture had its own techniques, with purposes ranging from protecting the soul of the deceased to ensuring their rebirth in another world. Some mummies were buried ceremoniously, while others were placed in a fetal position, symbolizing rebirth. During important festivals, these mummies were sometimes displayed and paraded, reflecting their sacred role in society. This new discovery will undoubtedly help archaeologists gain a deeper understanding of the development of ancient civilizations in Peru. It also sheds light on the spiritual beliefs and rituals of the indigenous peoples who lived in the region and left an enduring mark on its long history. As you can see, archaeology is full of surprises. Sometimes discoveries remain mysteries even to this day. So, which of the discoveries we've discussed impressed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss more fascinating discoveries. For now, goodbye, and see you next time.